What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. Welcome to 2026 of the Headbangers Ballroom. Can't believe this channel's been around for almost 6 years. I remember watching YouTube channels even before starting this one, and really daunting, really made me nervous, especially talking awkwardly in front of a camera. But, you know, it's my tiny little channel, but it's still fun to do. I've met a lot of great people through this channel, and I've got a chance, an opportunity to discover new bands because of this channel. Just when you think you've seen it all, you know all the bands, there is always something new to learn and something new to gain and understand about our wonderful world that we call the heavy metal scene. So I did say I was going to be done with my end of 2025 list, but I created just one more. Just once more, Miss Swan. Just once more. And I figured this would be a great opportunity to talk about honorable mentions, especially considering how great 2025 is and was for heavy metal music in general. I feel like there's so many other bands to talk about that I really didn't get an opportunity to, because at the end of the day, you're going to have hundreds of bands on this list. And I feel like if I take an opportunity to talk just a few more, that will make me very, very happy. And at least maybe you can gain and understand and enjoy some of the bands and some of the music that I enjoyed last year, and maybe even discover some new artists on your own. So we're going to do this in two parts. Let's talk about some honorable mentions, some bands that I unfortunately forgot to put on here, and our EPs that came out for the year of 2025. There was some incredible 2025 EPs that came out that I think rival or at least are comparable to the full-length albums that we got in 2025. So let's start off with some honorable mentions right off the bat. My nephew, of all people, played this before me last year and said, "Uncle Marty, you need to check out the newest Obscura album." And he beat me to it. This is my one of my oldest nephews, and he's a big metalhead like me and my brother are. He's super into black metal right now. He can't get enough of it, and he's picked out some great black metal bands. Some of the classics that we've all enjoyed. He's really big into, especially right now, good grief, he's really big into Bathory and Immortal right now, and I mean, I'm just so proud of him. Couldn't be more proud of his choices in music. So he goes, "Uncle Marty, check out the newest record by Obscura," and I did. And at this moment, I'm sad I didn't put it on my original 2025 list. That, of course, is Asonication, their newest offering from the technical death metal band Obscura. I would say if you're going to pick a track, go with Silver Linings, just to get a taste of, am I going to like the rest of this record, or am I going to dip into their discography? This is a much more progressive and melodic leaning compared to their previous works, and I would say they amped up the clarity, the precision, and the melodies, at least in when it comes to the guitar work of this record. It is not just minor chords, musical masturbation, and, you know, pinch harmonics and things that make you kind of squirm a little bit, which a lot of technical death metal bands do, where they want to pick dissonant chords and things that maybe don't make sense, because they'll do like a flat fifth here or a minor chord here when you don't expect it, just to, you know, kind of do a little bit of a Mahler 5, if you will, and to decrease the amount of melody in their tracks. However, I would say when it comes to the guitar work, this probably has more clairvoyant melodies, I guess you could say, is probably the right way I can explain it. But I would say the melody, when it comes to the guitar work and the leads and the hooks and the riffs, things are just so much more purposeful and precise, and the melodies actually brought on a darker, moodier, and more melancholic feel to the newest tracks. And I think that's why I love the new Obscura so much. And wow, I mean, this is not your granddad's Obscura, where it's pure tech death and they don't give you a chance to breathe for the entire record. No, this actually has a lot of beautiful, wonderful, melancholic, dark, and moody moments that really bring out and enhance, I would say, the melodic parts of this record. So if you haven't checked it out yet, Obscura, Asonication, of course, we're consulting the handy dandy heavy metal Bible here, and Silver Linings is a great place to start. By the way, you guys remember that show, Got My Handy Dandy Notebook? Just kidding. I hope he's doing well. I saw that comeback video with him a couple years ago. But if you were a kid watching, Nick Jr. as a kid, you remember the Handy Dandy Notebook. Well, this is the one, just heavy metal edition. Maybe a little bit more gore, a little bit metal, a lot more cuss words. Of course, the next up on our list is Christian death metal and deathcore act With Blood Comes Cleansing. Really had a lot of fun with this album. They did do a CD press of this. No vinyl, at least not that I've seen online. Maybe they did and they already sold out, but I can't even find the CD anywhere because it's sold out everywhere. But With Blood Comes Cleansing, Christian deathcore project, with their self-titled album, With Blood Comes Cleansing, really a blast. I mean, the entire record is just a blast. All the title tracks are, biblical themed, but this is really just a great death metal hardcore project. And there's plenty of breakdowns, a lot of just good, I don't know what you want to call it, but non-dissonant breakdowns where you just get the chord you want, the breakdown you want, beats you in the face, and you want to start a mosh pit in your bedroom. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think I just said bathroom and bedroom together, and I came out with Badroom. So Badroom. Breakdowns in your bedroom. That actually sounds like a pretty cool title if you ask me. But a lot of two steps, a lot of breakdowns. A lot of the sound reminds me of like early Rise era Acacia Strain. A lot of like the Ferret and Trustkill bands when it comes to the breakdowns. And then, a lot of gutturals, a lot of layered vocals between the gutturals and the higher, witchier sounding vocals. And then one of the best sounding double bass drum kicks I've heard in the entirety of 2025. I love the sound they chose for their double bass. So if nothing at all, check it out purely for that sound. But that is With Blood Comes Cleansing. Great new album. I really love what they did. Hopefully I can find a CD copy of their newest record. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this band hailing from England, Screaming of the Valkyries by Cradle of Filth. This has probably been my favorite Cradle of Filth offering in the last 15 years. I really love everything they've done with their newest record. Granted, their lead singer doesn't seem to be able to get along with anybody as of recent news, and considering everything I've seen out of 2025, no one seems to be able to get along with Danny Filth at all. But can't help but love what he did with his project. I could deal without the Jesus is a blank t-shirts that they made, but it seems to be the most popular t-shirt. I see it at every concert. I mean, do you? I'm not gonna, whatever. We're all metalheads at the end of the day. I'm just not a big fan of that shirt. Coming as a metalhead who is still a God-fearing Catholic, all at the same time, I can't really look at that shirt and be like, yeah, I like that. No. But mad respect to Cradle of Filth for being one of the longest-standing bands in heavy metal, at least in this current domain. And being able to be like one of like the OGs in melodic black metal, especially for what they've done throughout the years. Danny Filth's trademark gutturals and his witchier highs. And I would say Screaming the Valkyries is no different. I mean, go play songs like Non Omnis Moriar and Demagoguery. You could tell the newest record has some influences from some of the modern day things, especially with the title tracks that they've chosen, like Demagoguery or whatever. You can tell that there's some modern day influences on why they picked their title tracks. And I thoroughly enjoyed their newest record, Screaming the Valkyries. Like I said, Non Omnis Moriar, Demagoguery, both two great tracks for this record. I really love what they've been doing, and the melodies that they've chosen in the clean vocals between Danny and the female clean vocals. Can't wait to see them live this year at either, I don't remember if they're exactly playing in Florida this year, but they are playing at Sonic Temple, and I'm hoping to make my way out there this year. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention the newest record from Cradle of Filth, Screaming the Valkyries. Really enjoyed it. It is just a great overall album. A lot of melody, a lot of like the gutturals and the witchier highs that you want to hear from this particular band. I love the synth. I love the symphonic aspect to this newest record. And I think overall it's just a more complete album altogether. It was pretty hard to get. Once it sold out on Amazon, it took a while to get it back. But I did find it at Used Kids Records over in Columbus, Ohio when I was at Sonic Temple last year. So if you haven't checked it, it's well worth your time and your money. Next up, I got to talk about these guys, man. I haven't talked about this band in a very long time, mostly because they've been kind of dormant and they're not, they're not the widest touring band because of what they had to offer. They're more famous for adding Bjorn's Speed Strid to their vocal lineup, and that of course is Disharmonia Mundi. They just came out with their newest record in 2025, Dormant Stranger. Fantastic. Everything I really wanted from this band. And if I could read my own handwriting. Now, if you're not familiar with Disharmonia Mundi, think more along the lines of the Swedish melodic death metal that you were getting out of bands like Sonic Syndicate, earlier In Flames, Middle of the Road, Dark Tranquility. A lot of those bands that were doing that sound, I would say the Sonic Syndicate sound. If you're thinking about 2005 era Soilwork and you enjoyed that aspect, you're going to love Disharmonia Mundi. That's basically what the majority of their albums sound like. There's a band called, I think the band is called Nasty, if I'm not mistaken, a Swedish melodic death metal band. Kind of has like the same vibe, but really a lot of symphonic, a lot of keyboards, and then the Swedish HM2 guitar tone with a lot of melody patched into it, and then Bjorn Speedstrid's clean vocals, just adding a beautiful layer. Now, believe it or not, this band is from Italy, and it's just crazy. You're basically saying Italian-Swedish melodic death metal, and Disharmonia Mundi just really, they give you exactly what you want. If you're into Sonic Syndicate, or if you're into Soilwork in that 2005-2007 era, you're going to love this record. It gives you exactly what you want, and it gives me exactly what I want. Wonderful cleans, great guitar melodies. It's just a fantastic record. So yeah, that's Dormant Stranger, Disharmonia Mundi. Next up, I don't know how I managed to not mention these guys. These are some of like the longest standing bands in the heavy metal scene. Swedish thrash metal is really the best word you can think of it. Along the lines of At the Gates, kind of like a little bit of The Haunted, but Corner. I feel bad for not mentioning them on my last video because their newest record is fantastic. So Corner, Dissonance Theory, Swedish thrash, unreal. Just really, really incredible album. It reminds me, there's a couple of elements. It's got a lot of prog to it, especially the first like 2 or 3 tracks. They go into some like gorgeous like acoustic moments. There's a lot of like progressive thrash added to this newest record by Corner. And then I would say even like Rivers of Nile type of music that they've really incorporated into this newest record. So if you haven't checked out, you need to check it out. That's the newest record from Corner, Dissonance Theory. They give you kind of like those panic chords and a little bit of like that dissonant chords as well, which is really funny how it fits into the overarching theme and title of their newest record. But it really is. It's Swedish thrash. You got a lot of elements of like bands like Rivers of Nile, melodic prog, and a lot of, a little bit of death in there, a lot of tremolo riffs, a lot of blast beats, and really just a overall fantastic thrash metal album. So it's, I would say it's along the lines of maybe even the newest Parabellum by Testament. If you really want to dive into this, I think it sounds great. The sound quality of the newest Corner is fantastic. And I really feel like this album did not get the love it deserves. So, Dissonance Theory by Corner, check it. Next up, it's not my favorite album by them, but it was a great record, and I did enjoy it once I spent more time with it. It's very ethereal, very ghost-like, which I guess fits into the theme and the actual title of the record, but Will You Haunt Me with That Same Patience by Bury Tomorrow. It's not my favorite album by them of all time, but I think it's worth a listen, especially if you're getting into Bury Tomorrow. This is another band that's just waving the flag for metalcore as it is and just modern heavy metal. And I feel like this band has just been waving that flag ever since they came out with their first EP many years ago. But this newest record, it doesn't have as much of the guitar work as I normally want from them, because when I think of Bury Tomorrow, I think of those first 5 or 6 records where the guitar work, everything was just so purposeful and melodic and intentional and precise. And this record really goes into a more of an ethereal approach, open face riffs, a lot of power chords, and then there's a couple of tracks on here though that really give you that guitar work that I've wanted from them all of these years. And the one I would say that I have that sticks out to me over and over and over again is Silence Isn't Helping Us. And that is my favorite track off of this record. I think it was just so well done. It was the perfect Bury Tomorrow showcase song, and it wasn't even a single, which blows me away because I think it's the best song off the entire album. So Silence Isn't Helping Us, fantastic track. I think that is really the beacon for this album and the standalone song that says, this is Bury Tomorrow in a nutshell, and it wasn't even a single. So Will You Haunt Me With That Same Patience, Bury Tomorrow, check it. It's on one of my older videos. I discussed it and took it, better breakdown as I did before in the past. So let's get on to it. Let's get on to EPs. Let's talk about some EPs, because, we haven't really done a lot of EP talk on this channel, and I think today's a good day. Very first one, Towards the Light by Impending Doom. Your favorite Christian death metal I wouldn't even like a little bit of deathcore, but it's like death metal and hardcore just had a baby. There's no brie, there's no pig squeals or anything like that, but there's a ton of darkened aspects of this EP and this band in general. A lot of gutturals, a few highs in there, but outstanding musicianship and just a fantastic death metal act. And it's a Christian band. I think they've really stood alone on their own side as far as death metal goes Christian. They even came up with their own kind of title called Goreship as to what genre they are. They even have their own version of the pentagram, and it's basically like their Christian version of the pentagram. And I really love what they did with this EP because it gets me excited about the full length that they're currently trying to record and come out with. They did a ton of promos last year and t-shirts and stuff. One of my favorite metal band t-shirts of all time now is actually a t-shirt from them. And on the very back, it's got just this killer lyric. And then I think this lyric has really spawned something online, I've noticed, where people are responding saying Christ is King, and I think that's just badass, man. I love what they've done with it, and as a God-fearing Catholic, it's cool to be able to say, like, hey, it's okay, it's cool to be a Christian and a metalhead, and everybody's welcome. And I think that's probably one of the best things about it. But I love the back of their shirt, because on the front, you have like the hooded figure with the cross, but on the back, it's got the part of their lyrics to their song Christ is King. And it says, basically, when I hope when I'm out of the fight, hell rejoices because Christ is King. And it's just like, I love wearing it. I've gotten so many compliments, strangely enough, from wearing this shirt in public by people that like don't have any metal clothing on, but when they see that back of that shirt, I've had a lot of women come up to me, strangely enough, and say, that's a really cool shirt. I love the lyrics on the back. That's really meaningful, and it's just cool. So clearly that shirt is loved by more than just me. But yeah, their newest EP, 3-track EP, it's fantastic. It's called Towards the Light, and their biggest track on there, Christ is King. Yeah, fucking love it, man. As I include more cussing that YouTube will likely get angry about. Anyway, the next one, Carnal Forge. Wow, The Fractured Process. Great Swedish melodic death metal. And if you like At the Gates, The Haunted, if you like there's so many bands that basically incorporate that Swedish melodic death metal sound. You're gonna like Carnal Forge, and I mean, it really, their newest EP, it's just so well manicured, is basically the way I can say it. It's so well written and well manicured. It harkens back to their entire discography of what Carnal Forge has been doing, and I really love their newest EP. So yeah, The Fractured Process, if you haven't checked it out, please do so. Next EP, Molotov Solution, Void. Wow, punishing, brutal, nasty, angry. I mean, the layered vocals between the highs and the lows, between the witchier highs and the guttural vocals, all mashed together into just a heck of an angry, punishing EP. Almost like they want to punish the listener just for listening. And I think it delivers. I think it delivers great. I think what they did with it is outstanding. Now, this band's been around for a minute. They're kind of back together now. And I think for an EP, they did a fantastic job for it. One of the best parts, a lot of that New York era death metal kind of breaks into the band. A lot of MySpace era deathcore also kind of incorporated into their sound. But I love the layered vocals. I could almost hear the As Blood Runs Black dodgeball sounding, kickball sounding snare drum. It almost reminds me of what this album is going to sound like when I play it. And I would say it's very stompy. I think it's just the way they played their riffs, almost like groove metal mixed with like New York era like death metal. But it's very stompy and punchy. Almost, again, like they want to punish the listener for listening to this EP. So I really had a blast with it. I'm really glad they came out with another EP this year. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Candlemass, the Black Star EP. Their lead singer with Leif Edding, who does bass and cleans now. And bass, cleans, and gutturals, if you want to call it that way. But of course, this is Candlemass, the infamous doom metal Candlemass. Previously, oh my gosh, I mean, when it comes to their vocalist lineup, I think the EP reminds me a lot of like Solitude Aeternus. Now, granted, there is a lot of association due to their lead singer, but I think, with Rob Lowe, this reminds me of Rob Lowe era Candlemass kind of pinched together. And just for an EP, I think it's outstanding. I love what they did with it. Every track, like I said, very meaningful, very purposeful, very precise. But they give you exactly what you want, and that is just a pure, unadulterated Candlemass EP. There was not a lot of outside noise going in. It just sounds like a pure Candlemass EP, and I really loved it, and I wish I could have more. So that was the big thing about the EPs this year, especially the Candlemass EP, is it left me wanting more and more. Next up, Immortal Disfigurement. If you're not too familiar with these guys, originally started in 2021 by CJ McCreary, formerly of another deathcore band. I'm sure I don't have to remind you guys of where he's from. But hell is right in front of us. Blackened symphonic deathcore. I've noticed there's been a lot of that of late. If you like the bands like Worm Shepherd, if you like early Lorna Shore, if you like Thy Art Is Murder, obviously, but on the symphonic side of things, I think you're going to like Immortal Disfigurement. I really enjoyed the EP. This is another one that kind of left me wanting more. But this has taken the blackened deathcore, where there's a lot of tremolo riffs and a lot of blast beats, but a lot of blackened blackened synth and symphonic aspects to the EP. And, I've noticed Lorna Shore has kind of repopularized some of the symphonic era, the symphonic sound and the blackened aspect of deathcore music. But if you really like Worm Shepherd, then you pretty much already know this is going to be for you. I really enjoyed the EP. I thought they did a great job with it, and it's just leaving me wanting more. Next up, Currents, All That Follows EP. I think this is Currents' best work in a while. I mean, I think this EP reminded me of why I loved Currents so much. I think this is better than the last full length, and this is like the first two full lengths of Currents. This EP feels like a continuation of those more than it does the last full length. I enjoyed the last full length record, don't get me wrong. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good, in my humble opinion, as the first two Currents albums. And this reminds me so much more of like what they did with Nightmares, like the track Nightmares. If you think about that, that early era of Currents, especially the first full length, this reminds me so much more of that than it does of their last record, and that's why I love the EP so much. So I just thought this EP was really, really special. All That Follows, if you're thinking about tracks, like It Only Gets Darker, or if you think about like what to listen to off of it, It Only Gets Darker, I think is a great representation of what to expect on this EP. and what we can expect from Currents in the future. Them really capturing that early sound with the really precise guitar work, the melodic leads, the hooks. I think this is going to be a lot more special. 2 more. Trivium. Struck Dead EP. We've been waiting to hear something from Trivium for a long time. They recently just replaced their drummers. I understand it's pretty tough for Trivium to keep a drummer. I mean, it's a difficult job. You have to be very skilled, and I'm sure it's exhausting. But this band, from my home state of Florida, they've only released one truly bad album, in my opinion. But I think this EP with their newest studio, basically giving everybody a touch of what to expect from Trivium in the future. This EP is everything we want from a Trivium album. Everything. This is so perfect. The juxtaposition between Ascendancy and Shogun era and Ember to Inferno era Trivium. This EP does all of it. And it gives me exactly what I wanted between Matt Heafy's screams, the melodic cleans, the really well thought out and beautiful melodic melodies and harmonies that they sing together, the really just purposeful and catchy choruses that make you sing along. The stuff that reminds me of like Deceived, or the song Ascendancy, or Pull Harder on the Strings of Your Martyr. Those melodies and choruses that you could sing along for days, and they make you feel something, make you feel good, because it's purposeful singing. It's not just cleans just out cleans. The melodies are well written, along with just the insane guitar work, how talented, a showcase of how talented these guys are. I really love the Trivium EP. It's 3 tracks. It's like 20-ish minutes between all 3 tracks. So you get your money's worth on this EP, and I love everything they did with it. So if you haven't checked it out, check out the Struck Dead EP by Trivium. If you're looking at tracks, I mean, all of them, just saying. But 6 Walls, I think, what am I saying? All the tracks on here are good, but I really love 6 Walls. Bury Me With My Screams, Struck Dead, 6 Walls. Yeah, the EP is incredible. I really love what Trivium did with it, and I hope this is a showcase of what to expect in their newest studio, and hopefully maybe a new record this year, if we're very, very lucky. So that's it for me, from me and the handy dandy heavy metal Bible. So some records that I didn't get a chance to talk about in my last couple videos, but also some incredible EPs that we didn't get a chance to talk about that I think really deserve a showcase and are just as comparable or run along side by side as some of our full-length albums that came out in 2025. So I hope everyone did have a wonderful finish to 2025. Happy 2026 to all of you. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're taking care of each other. Plenty more videos to come up. Take care of yourselves, and peace.